So I'm Dr. Desai Colgan. I'm in the law school, senior lecturer, and
I'm Mr. Wanda Ndlozi. I'm at the law school, admissions and career development. I also did an LLB at Wits.
And I'm Dr. Jean Moore, also at the law school, but I help to run our writing centre.
So today we're going to talk about the course that we have been running for a few years together as a team that we won the award for, and it's the research essay course. So as the course coordinator, I'm responsible for overseeing the running of this course, but a lot of my involvement comes from where I come from, which was the legal education research perspective and a community law project that I ran for many years, and then also being involved in education for democracy. And one of the strengths that we all bring is the fact we collaborate. So we have different skills, we offer different skills, but we collaborate together and recognize each other's roles and step in where we need to. So I think it's that whole thing of teamwork that we bring into the course, working for that common goal.
Yeah, my focus is more on assisting with research submissions. I also focus on, from the beginning, from registration stage, where students select their electives, select which courses they want to take. And also my focus is more on assisting both Jean and Desai. I also assist with appointment of external moderators, submitting of research to them, and also returning them, and also looking at how they get their payments and all that.
So Wanda and Desai bring the legal expertise and the administrative expertise. I'm not a lawyer. My background is in language education and in writing development. So what I bring to the collaboration is an awareness of writing development pedagogies, and I'm also the link between the course and the writing centre. So I help Desai to run the 12 workshops that the students attend throughout the year, but then I also facilitate shut up and write groups in the weeks that when students are not in workshops, where they, if they choose to, they can come together and write together without interruptions. It's a sort of anti-procrastination technique. And then I also facilitate the writing centre assistance, so students can come to the writing centre at any point in their writing process and get assistance, have conversations about their writing and how it's developing. But Desai, maybe you can give a quick overview of the course itself before we go too much further.
The course is a final year LLB course. It's a full year, and the students are expected to identify their own question, their own area of research, so criminal law, constitutional law, and it's not that easy. So they battle in that first part because they've never had to do that before. They're used to assignments. The essay itself is from 7,000 to 7,500 words. It's writing intensive, it's research intensive, and they work with the supervisor. So they're allocated a supervisor, and the supervisor's there to guide them through the whole process and provide them with feedback. And also they attend these 12 workshops that are scaffolded in such a way that they start off slowly and start building their skills in. So for each submission, they are prepared in advance. Okay, now you do abstracts. Now this is how you write your conclusion, and it's a slow developing process. So I quite enjoy the fact that we watch the students grow, and they change. They definitely change, but it's like this slow change. My job as course coordinator is to sort of deal with all these moving parts, and it's a huge, this year was huge, 150 students with about 67, 68 supervisors. So there's always this opportunity for chaos to arrive, and then every now and then because they're human beings, there's this shock and surprise and oh my gosh moments, but Wanda, you can talk about some of that.
Because at the beginning, students always think when they register research SA, it's -1 course because finally they have to take 4 electives. And always when they come to me, I always alert them to the fact that research essay is not actually that simple. It's a course that requires them to work a lot, and it's a full year course. That is why it takes out 2 electives. And you'll find students coming mid-year and try to drop research essay because they couldn't manage to keep up with their work, from the workshops to mini proposal to even the research that they have to submit mid-year. So sometimes it becomes difficult for them to understand at the beginning that what they are putting themselves in, it's not as simple as they think.
Yeah, they don't visualize it because they've never been through it.
Yeah.
And then my role in the course and in the workshop specifically is to help to get students to understand that, because it is an apparently fairly straightforward exercise. And so what Deja and I try and do in the workshops is make visible all of the research and writing expectations in a project of this kind. And that's always quite fun because students have, sometimes sort of quite a simplistic sense of what is required of them, and we help them to see that it is much more complex than that. But importantly, they're not just skills workshops. We really are quite careful not to draw on this deficit notion that the students lack skills and we've got to top them up. It's really about helping them to kind of develop their capacities to think and read and write in sort of more complex and creative and interesting
believe
ways.
in themselves.
Yes, absolutely. There's that confidence aspect as well. And then, of course, although the final product is that research essay, which they hand in at the end of the year, there are a number of formative assessments that make up the mark for the course. The first is the research pitch, where they have to conceptualize their questions and they present it to a group of their peers and an academic. And that's quite an interesting process because the peers are expected to provide as much feedback as the academic. And I think that's quite different from what they're used to. So we start off with that. Then once they have their supervisors, they draft a mini proposal which they submit to the supervisor for review. Then they submit a draft which gets a lot of feedback which they can then refine for the final submission at the end of the year.
And we see that as the above the water, what you can identify as this is the result of each process, but underneath is this little flapping.
Well, that's where the more interesting stuff goes on.
So underneath is the ongoing working towards developing a deeper person, a deeper thinker. And we do focus on intellectual rigor as well, but we also try to create that curious researcher, because by the time we have the students, they've almost got this numb look about themselves. So we're trying to make them wake up and enjoy their studies and stop being fearful in many ways. They're scared to make decisions for themselves. They fear being alone and they fear being responsible. So a lot of that under the surface thing is where we're building this character, this human being who's a researcher, who sees themselves as a researcher. And one of the nice things about the research pitch, which I wish we could carry on throughout the year, is the excitement they have, because this is the first time they've presented on their research. And before super, grown-up lecturers who are human beings, I mean, they start interacting, and with peers, they often don't seem to be interacting with that much either. So it's lovely when they start presenting and they get excited. It's amazing.
Especially their excitement, sometimes you see it when they submit their final journal, because they have to do a journal from beginning of the day till the end. The creativity they've put in their journal, the way they make it looks, they always feel like they own their journals, and they feel like they could keep it even when they have to submit it, because it's counted towards their marks. So I think research essay have given them more than what they think they can have.
Yeah. Because we've injected a bit of life into it.
Yeah, and I mean I don't think that's just as a result of the three of our personalities.
No.
There's some very clear sort of literature and pedagogical principles that are informing that. So I don't know, Deja, do you want to kick off on some of that?
So I think what I love about us three and the course is that we come from a similar mindset. And that is that the students aren't just this amorphous group who oh hell, do we have to deal with them? But that they're early stage legal researchers, that they're growing this identity of research, and that if you nurture that, you actually do find them excited and capable. And so we've coming from this, we like the mindset of Paulo Freire, who moves away from that banking approach, and agree with Mbembe, who says, this transactional, product-oriented way of teaching and learning at universities is problematic. And I started having these aha moments when Jean sort of introduced me to these various pedagogical theories. And I was going, this is why I'm so annoyed. We love creating this non-hierarchical space in class where there's trust, where authenticity, we keep asking for authenticity in the students. And obviously we can't get them all, but we definitely have seen growth and change. They get stimulated, and it depends at what time of the year. Some years it comes early, this year's been very slow, but it's there. And
but that slow is sometimes intentional.
Slow is the deliberate humanist pedagogy that we introduced. And the product isn't our end goal, actually, although it would be very nice when they're completed, but it's who you are as a human being. And you brought some interesting stuff into the game, because I was just doing. I was thinking, I want things to happen with these students. I want them to be able to be, I came from this human rights place. I want human rights thinking students. Jean brought something else.
So yes, it is that slow humanist pedagogy that Deja mentioned, where you deliberately slow things down so that people are people in the room and there's time to think and wonder together. But what I particularly love about the course and what excites me is that there's a lot of research that shows the best way to develop writing in higher education is through a collaborative pedagogy. In other words, where the disciplinary experts and the writing experts work together in a sustained way over time to make the research and writing expectations visible to students. But it's really hard to find spaces to do that and to find people to do that with. And so I'm very grateful to Deja for creating the space in the course, because the two of us, I think, work well together to do that. She brings the legal expertise, and then I'm the one asking the questions of, but why does it look like that, and can you do it other ways? And that then the students start to ask those kinds of questions as well.
And our interaction, there's no ego, I think. It's kind of,
we have fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we should pick up on what Wanda mentioned earlier, that role of reflection and the reflective research journals.
Yeah, I think what most students have benefited from the course is the fact that those who do well always think of themselves as researchers for the future. Some, they use their research essay as a tool for them to apply for professional programs like Constitutional Court, where they assist judges to do research, even in courses that they do not have experience in. And it also helps our students mostly, especially currently with AI. It gives them that deep understanding of research, and most cases you find law firms will come back and say, we've actually seen a different student from Wits compared to a student from another institution. And I think research essay also assist our students who previously were our students, now they are our external examiners. Some are even focusing on becoming academics. So it has done a lot for our students and even our future students that will come in the course.
And we were very conscious of that. we want the students to be reflective. We want them to think about their own practice and what they're going through, which is why we gave the journals a 20% mark, because it's quite high. But they have to be authentic in these, and they must show their development of their research question, but also their personal development, and talk about their struggles and their experiences. So we've introduced that deliberately into the course. And
well, I think just from a writing point of view, what's very powerful about those research journals is it allows the students to really live that idea of writing as process as well as writing as product. So writing is a tool for thinking through both your research questions, so when you hit a wall, when things aren't working, you can write through that in your journal, but it's also a reflective tool for your personal, because research is emotional. You get frustrated, you feel imposter syndrome, and writing through that, using writing as a process to move forward in your research journey, I think is quite important as well, because often in law, writing is seen as quite transactional, and so that's a dimension.
Very, they're coming from, have to be formal, have to use these journals, and then suddenly they can use their own voice.
And do it in a way that works for them.
They did say that coming to workshops was a little bit like therapy. But just we were going to just talk about how we've also incorporated the profession into some of our lectures. So we invite an advocate to come in who does a presentation on how important research is for legal scholars. And it's amazing, like the students just change. They go, oh, a real live advocate. And they ask questions, and they're super engaged, and they're really excited. And then we also take them through how the externals will examine them, and they enjoy those sessions as well, because they learn by criticizing essays themselves. We introduce the profession in a sense where we make the whole, it's real out there. Your research is real. It's not just something you did at university and it's not going to happen later on. You're going to carry it on, like you said. It's a skill that you will always use.
And I think that's also where the whole question of scholarly and legal identity is developed, and that's a really important part of this course. In their research journals, the students often tell us that through the course of the year, they really take on the sense of being a researcher and being a legal researcher and taking their place in the legal community. And one of our favorite bits is at the end of every year, we always get all the students to write a letter to next year's students, kind of reflecting on their research essay journey, highlights, frustration, tips, things to look out for. Lots of warnings. We leave it open-ended, but those are the typical kinds of things that come through in the letters, and then we share these letters with the new intake the following year. And I think that's always quite a powerful moment, because we learn what the students have learned, but then I think as well it works, a lot of the things that the students say in the letters, it's much better coming from fellow students than coming from us.
What do you like about the course?
I guess what I've realized recently is a student telling me that actually the lesson they've learned have made them prepared for their masters, and one of them is at UCT thinking he's doing well there because he did research essay at Wits and he started learning from there.
That's really nice. And we do get a lot of our postgrad students saying they're rewatching the research essay recordings, they're using the materials. So it definitely does help prepare them for further postgraduate study.
And it is dynamic for so COVID, we thought we did brilliantly, didn't we? But the things we did in COVID, we tried to redo again now. No, they're not doing so well. So it's constantly changing and constantly shifting. But what I do love about the course is the fact that I do see these students change. This year we were saying, maybe not, they're not having success with them, but suddenly In the last part of the year, they started changing and becoming aware of what it's about. Took more time, but
Every year is different.
Yeah, every year it's different.
But when you read their journals and you hear their stories, you suddenly realize they've grown up. And they're calling themselves researchers. And they loved research, or they own it. They go, this is mine. I bled over this. I own this.
And then the last step every year in the course is that it is voluntary, but we always try and hold a mini conference for those students who would like to. So once the final essay is in, we sort of set, basically it's a simulation of an academic conference with chairs and opportunities to either present a poster or do a presentation. And that's always a highlight of the year, both for us and the law teachers, but I think for the students as well.
Those who did it were so proud of themselves.
Do we still have Nkundla?
And they do so well. Yeah, they really do.
The Nkundla,
Yes, and Nkundla, the student journal, quite often, quite a lot of the research essays get published in Nkundla as well. So there are opportunities for the students to publish.
And some have gone even further.
Yes, yeah, they either publish or co-publish their work.
So that, we love the course, I think.
we enjoy the course.